don't fucking shoot them in the face.
Oh no.
What is this?
Fuck.
What is this?
What is the truth? What is lies? What is anything anymore?
Anything is just what it is whenever in the sense of how Orwellian our world actually is, with the mutability of the truth, surveilling of your citizens, and the just outright lying and the holding of two conflicting narratives and the cognitive dissonance that comes with that double thing.
Yeah. Do you ever have a hard time?
Everything to them is truth, and once it slips into history, then a lie is no longer that, it's just truth. So what is truth? It's whatever the fuck they say it is.
So then there's no truth. Everything's a lie.
Now you're getting it. Now you're getting into postmodernism. There is no truth, there is no beauty, there is no God, there is no objective reality. There is only your truth. There is only how you feel.
But you see,
that's where you get into social justice. When you have everything is your truth, who can tell you you're wrong? Who can tell you that this cause isn't worth getting someone fired over, isn't worth getting someone censored, isn't worth screaming Nazis until everyone is taken into camps, and you wonder, wait, we actually brought about the Weimar Republic again. Because when it comes to your truth, who are you to say what your version of your truth, and your truth depends on your justice. So now you have social justice. So it's like, I am gonna fucking rant and rave. I am gonna scream about racism and intersectionality and the patriarchy and toxic masculinity. I am gonna get someone fired.
I am gonna get someone fired.
Because I am a professional tattletale. And that is what, when I sit at the Thanksgiving dinner table, my mother, who knows that my brother is more successful than me, it's like, and I gotta be like, hey mom, I'm a BuzzFeed writer, or I write for the Huffington Post, or I write for the Washington Times, or I write for the New York Times. Any of these pathetic propagandist rags that have just shown their ass in the past 5-6 years. It's not even anybody that thinks for themselves is like, so why do people think that? Like, even as a kid, when I was like, they can't all be a New York Times bestseller. You can't all, like, that doesn't mean anything.
You know how they say #1 movie of the year?
Yeah, #1 movie in America.
I remember one time when I was up in Canada, we were going to see like those 3 trailers, and they all said, and they were all coming around the same time. They're like, the #1 movie of the year, the #1 movie of the year. That shit kind of pissed me off, to be honest, because I was like, are they really the #1 movie? I don't think I've seen that anymore, but I haven't really been watching up with movie trailers. I just watch the movie now.
Do now with everything. It's just like, if they don't like what you're saying, they just call you a racist. But I'm sorry, when they call enough people with a legitimate complaint racist, then it starts to be like, well, what is racist? It's not just a word that they're like, oh, he's racist, silence him, we don't do stupid. It's like, they don't want to argue with you. They don't want to debate, so they just silence you. They call you a racist. They call you a Nazi. And it's like, well, I mean, when enough people call that, dude, it doesn't mean anything.
He's saying...
It's just a word at a certain point.
It's very much
when the people that called for the Covington kids to get thrown into wood chippers, fucking high school children to get thrown into wood chippers for smirking at a fucking very smug Native American man who lied about his military service, then you can't say that there's anybody out there that really thinks that there's any objective truth, that they're just like, well, it's my truth. And if these little fucking white kids think they're gonna walk around and not hate their existence and not want to kill themselves and not want to replace themselves.
Covington.
Oh, I have something to say about that. It's like, fuck you, asshole. You're just miserable because you and everybody else is going to be overturned with the current trend of parasitism and victimhood in America. The pendulum will swing back, and this will go back to what the 1950s and what this country was founded on, in that if you can't hack it, you're going to die, and we're going to step right over you and get on with our day.
Wait, what's the Covington kids? I don't know about that.
With your life, the Covington kids was that situation in 2018 or 2000. 17, where these high school students were at a field trip and they got approached by an Indian man. They were at a field trip in... Oh yeah, they were at the... It was 2019. I'm going to butcher this again because, like, if anybody really cares, you'll look this up for yourself. It was January 18th, 2019. These kids were on a Lincoln Memorial field trip, and they were confronted by this Native American because they are all standing around in a group. And again, I'm probably butchering this story somewhat. They're all standing around in a group with their friends waiting to leave on the bus to go back to the school. And so this Native American guy starts coming up and getting confrontational, and he starts drumming a drum in their faces. And they start, like, because they think that they obviously see a bunch of white kids standing around with MAGA hats on, with red Make America Great Again caps on. They think it's a bunch of little Nazis, you know? So he comes up and starts trying to make a scene, trying to be confrontational, and he gets in this kid's face. What's his, fucking Nick Sandman. He gets in this kid's face, and he starts drumming his drum, trying to, like, make them, like as if they were being... And then the news played it up to be like these kids were trying to be confrontational to this Indian guy, and they were a bunch of racist Trump supporters, and really all the story was that he got in his face and was, like, drumming at him and trying to make him back down, trying to make them, like, guilty about, like, just being there and being like, you're fucking Nazis, you're fucking deplorable racists who voted for Trump. And so all the kid did was, as this Indian guy, who's like 3 or 4 times this high school kid's age, he just smirked at him. All he did was just smirk at him, like, okay, dude.
And they
like,
tried to make it look like us.
And they tried to make it like these kids were Nazis. This is the epitome of Trump's white America. There were fucking blue checkmark verified celebrities on Twitter calling for these kids to be thrown into wood chippers, calling for their families to be raped and murdered. People on Twitter that did not get taken off Twitter, that did not get unpersoned, that did not get deplatformed when everybody else. It's one of the biggest
I found this,
examples of the culture war in this country. If you want to talk about the media bias and that people are getting censored and like a 1984 style of being unpersoned, of like you're done. You're anybody to the right of Karl Marx. You're done.
So I found one article. It said Case Covington kids is the perfect example of media bias. If you are in a public place and someone starts heckling you, you are entitled to heckle back. Question mark. What if you're a heckler starts banging on a drum in your face? Are you allowed to answer with a smirk? Question mark.
Not if you're a white man. Not if you're a white man. The problem with that was that he wasn't guilty. He didn't back down and do the typical thing of like, oh, I'm sorry, Indian guy, let me lick your boots, let me apologize for something I never did, for something that you never even experienced, for whatever the history was, whatever 400 years ago. If I am the source of anyone's problems, then I'm sorry, you're gonna die. The world is gonna leave you behind. You're gonna be eaten alive, because if anyone out there thinks that other people are the source of their victimhood or the reason why you suck at life, why you can't just press start on this game, it's just because you can't hack it. And it would be much more harder to admit to yourself that you're a parasite and you're a bitch and you're a chump, rather than, oh no, it was the white man. It was patriarchy. It was institutionalized racism of this systemic oppression of the... It's like, yeah, man, just shut up and get a fucking job.
He interviews... A lot of people are making videos on the internet. Ally Phillips came across a video that shows the Covington kids
This is one of the
build a wall,
major battles in the culture war that has been raging, the cold culture war as far as we are in since 2016 and the election, all that. Some people believe it's further back than that, other stories. But people believe that's a lot of one of the major gets of that you can point to as far as what has been going on between the left and the right in this country and the clear and blatant bias in the media against anyone on the right. And again, with the sliding of the political compass nowadays, and it's more like an alchemical scale rather than an exact science, it doesn't even reflect on anyone that says, oh, those guys are right, those guys are left. What left was in the 90s
but there
is like what
no right.
Republican is today.
Well, I feel like there is no right or wrong, though, to be fair.
That's postmodernism, and that's what got us to this state in the world. If there is no right or wrong, women can be as promiscuous of sluts as they want to be before marriage. But since women are empowered and there is no objective truth, beauty, or God, you cannot shame them, or you are a patriarchal, toxically masculine man slut-shaming a woman. If there is no right or wrong, people can go around killing their babies after they live these promiscuously irresponsible lifestyles, and you can't shame them. If there is no right or wrong, governments can run roughshod over your lives and just completely shove it in your face as to like, well, there's going to be no more due process. We're going to take away your right to assembly. Well, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a slippery slope, but we're already on it. There is no right or wrong anymore. You look at the world that we have, there is no right or wrong. We walked away from God. We laughed at it. We were like, God, we're better than that. It's like, and what do we really think we are? Do people really think that it's going anywhere except off a cliff?
So even if there wasn't a God, right? Even
if there was no God, it's
still
what
good
Marcus
to believe
Aurelius
in
said.
it.
Even if there is no God, why should you still not be a noble man? Why should you still not do the right thing even when no one is watching? Because if everybody is like, hey, no one's watching, I could rape my cousin right now, or hey, no one's watching, I could murder my father right now, hey, no one's watching, I could steal from the till at the church right now, hey, no one's watching, I could fucking molest my little sister right now. If every motherfucker out there did that when no one was watching, what would the world be like? If there is no God, it's up to you to police yourself, because all you're going to get in the end when you meet your maker, or you meet nothing but an empty screen, you were a good man. It's almost your ticket to be like all these other people. Like, imagine if there is a God. Imagine if there is something in the end that you will be judged for everything you thought you did when no one is watching. All these satanic, pedophile, allegedly Luciferian, Canaanite, child trafficking elites that are just like, do what thou will shall be the whole of the law, and that will be the game until we fucking say it isn't otherwise. Then you can literally, when they were suffering in eternal damnation and getting raped, as like Epstein is having to be the children that he raped and killed offshore, and all these people allegedly that like Jimmy Savile and the Royals and the conspiracies in the 90s and that whole child trafficking ring. There was like, there's many people in the media, many people in the news that helped him out, that would believe that this man did not act alone. All of this would be their ticket to eternal damnation and hellfire, and you would just have lived a good life and basically was like, I was good! I was good, you fucking animals! Duck it! I didn't fuck kids! I didn't kill anyone!
Well, some people believe that there was once a God. Some people
I didn't hurt anyone because it was what I was supposed to do. Why would I murder people? Why would I do that? Because I can? You have to be a myopic child to look at the world that way. Because you can traffic someone's kid, because you can fuck someone's kid, you should. I hope everything that happens to you is beyond the scale of what you ever thought could happen to you. But it probably won't. In all reality, man, these people are going to die with their loved ones around them, holding your hand, holding their hands as dad goes off, as granddad goes off. Well, I just want to say, Dad, up. And they're like tearing up as father, like, and again, the world is objective, so you would be. It would be your dad, it would be your grandma, it would be your mom. You would objectively, if you were their child, if you were in this big, rich, opulent family of like the Vanderbilts or the Rothschilds or the Abu Dhabis or the Koch brothers or any of these, like, it would be just like your family member dying. And no matter what they did, no matter what the rest of the world had to suffer through, it doesn't matter. They are going to live a great, comfortable, lavish, beautiful life. And they're going to die with people around them that love them. And they'll probably have had more sex than anybody. They'll probably have had more money and more joy and actual physical sensations that they experienced in this life beyond you. You fucking pleb. You joke. You civilian.
Man. What would be the perfect ending for you? Like let's say after you died, what would be ideal? Or like out of all
I
the
don't know.
religions and shit.
I think what ultimately, no, I think what would be the perfect ending is what the Buddhists believe with the Bodhisattva and all that, as like when you become
Wasn't the
the
Buddhism
ultimate
like
enlightened being.
wasn't Buddhism not supposed to be a religion to begin with? It was just
Buddhism is almost like, when you really get into it, it's almost as basically like communism, because I mean, you're supposed to have, and again, I'm probably butchering Buddhism, nobody take my word on this, but what I understand about it is like, no earthly possessions, you go around and you beg for things, you beg for food, you beg, and it's like, as when you're a kid, that's a beautiful, like, naive, it's as they say, if you're a young person and you're not of the left, you have no heart or soul. And if you're an older person and you're not on the right, you have no brain.
well, I thought Buddhism was
beautiful
made by this
thought,
one
Buddhism.
guy, and then it
Made
used
by
to.
Buddha. He
Yeah,
was a
but
rich, very privileged young man. He apparently ran away from all his wealth and all his
yeah,
bounty of things. Like, he was basically just a prince, I think.
but
And
yeah, what
he,
I don't understand though is that because I remember what I read something about him, or I heard something about him, and it was like that he was explaining to people that this is not a religion. This is just a better way of living.
but I think it was after it all became that, it was the Bodhisattva, because he can say that, but it's like, dude, you fat fuck, you're sitting around begging for food, and I just had to fucking get my boss yelling at me, and I can't even get a goddamn blowjob when I get home? Fuck you, you fucking commie. I don't give a fuck how many golden statues of your fat ass there are. But going back to what about Buddha and with the Bodhisattva and all that, what they believe is that they believe that if there is the one, the chosen one, known as the Bodhisattva, that the guy that breaks free of samsara, that they basically believe is samsara is the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth that we're caught in, that we're trapped in, and we can't get out unless we all get out. So the guy in their theory and their concept of the end is the Bodhisattva, and he is the one who has attained mastery of the universe. He knows everything. He is like all-knowing. He is omnipotent. But what you will find as the Bodhisattva is that unless you wake everyone else up, there is no escaping samsara. So you have to get all of humanity out of this trap, or no one is getting out. So you have to, everyone has to come to the understanding of, this is an eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. We reincarnate forever because we're trapped in this thing, and it is like an Ouroboros of organic matter forever playing off itself, because consciousness
There will always
is like
be new
something
generations and more propaganda to keep you in that cycle.
It's like consciousness is the mirror that no matter what you... No, it's more like reality is the mirror that no matter what you put in front of it, it'll be reflected back at itself. And if you put consciousness in front of that mirror, it can't help but do what we're doing now forever. You will forever be conscious. So until everyone realizes what we're trapped in here, a conscious amalgam of... Like, this could be like, if there was an omnipotent being out there, if you think of like, if you were something out there that is everything that has been, ever was, and ever will be, like we talk about a lot on this show, how would you trap something like that? What would be a predator like that? What would be the Venus flytrap equivalent for something like that? Other than what we're trapped in now. This fucking thing ate you, and now all you can do is constantly be conscious of, I'm creating a life, I'm a farmer in 1907, I'm now growing up, now it's the Great Depression, I just died of fucking SARS, now I'm in 1980, now I'm on a coke binge in the fucking, I just got shot up, and now I'm like, you are forever going to be conscious of it because it's what consciousness does. It just does. It's like when you pour water into something, it'll take the shape of whatever you pour it into. And there would be these giant, in my perspective of how I think life is, of how I think this crazy shit is, because what I think, again, is that you'll never know, so why not guess?
Well, let's just because this is always something I've always wanted to think of. So if everything was true, what we were being told, how fucked would we really be? Like, that's always something I always find interesting. Like,
You mean everything like that people want you to believe about how powerful this, like that they are, and that the world is just an illusion, and that this world is a big corporation, that there's multi-layer cakes, there's cities upon cities, and the sky could be...
like if any of that was true, or like
if any of that was true, then you're basically just like, how can I articulate like we're just primitive beings to them, making the equivalent of shadows with our hands on the cave wall. And as we sit by the firelight and go into the generations before us and we die out, we're basically, all we amount to is like...
Well, what if... Alright, so what
like,
if...
compared to them, if they're that fucking powerful?
Yeah, well, alright, so then this...
We ain't...
So then let's think about it this way, alright?
Might as well be like, we're the fucking citizens of Rapture, and it's fucking Andrew Ryan. Like, they're Andrew Ryan, or we're the people on the slave colonies of Fortuna, and they're Corpus, and those guys, and they're fucking big, awesome. Man, don't you ever wish you just had one of those helmets, man? Corpus looks so fucking badass! Get back to work, slave!
Yeah,
if it's that, we're fucked. Like, what could we even do?
Well, what if, alright, so what if all the people, like, the media that we should be believing, the media that we've been told to believe, what if all of that was true?
If all of it is true, then we went to the moon in 1968 or 69. I have so many dates and minutia in my head, it doesn't even matter anymore, it's all pointless. But if that's true, then we did that. That bolstered our sense of American pride. We have a space administration that is both legitimate and esteemed and revered. We fought actually real wars for good reasons, like World War I and World War II.
You don't think those wars for good reasons?
Man, I couldn't even get into how much that's all just, like, I can't do it justice. I don't know enough of the facts, but, like, basically World War I was started over killing one guy. Like, one guy on accident just killed him, and, like, pretty much the shit we were about to do a few months back when we blew up that al-Baghdadi guy. I'm probably even getting his name wrong now. Nobody even remembers that we were about to go to World War III with Iran not even, like, 4 months ago. Where we blew up their general. And some foreign ambassadors at a base, I think. You know, just blowing stuff up, man.
Do you like Trump? Like this? Like, do you agree with a lot of the things Trump says?
I used to be more on board. I don't really agree with a lot of the stuff he says. I don't know much, but I guarantee I pay more attention to the people that just hate him because the media tells them that he's orange and he's evil.
Well, some people have said that Trump's like the devil.
I like that he's not a limp-wristed, like, little punk like Obama was. It's at least interesting to see the world burn with this guy in charge. He's a troll. He is the internet's president if there ever was one.
Yeah.
He posts his own memes on Twitter. He's actually funny. He has, I mean, at least the guy running around making calls right now has a family, rather than if Biden or Hillary or Bernie or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was in power.
Yeah, because they don't have families, so they wouldn't understand.
And to them, all of you are just clumps of cells that could have been aborted at 9 months anyway, because there is no God or beauty. Again, you go back to the ill that is postmodernism and how much it has permeated the very fabric of modern civilization.
Yeah, I could see that.
A lot of architecture is postmodern because it is social engineering through because people crave aesthetic beauty and they crave a sense of place and actual pride in what they have. Like, that's why you look at, like, places like Lauterbrunnen in Sweden or Rome or France, well, somewhat France now, that's even going away. Like Egypt, like all these places that are actually still the architecture of the old world. and they tell the story and they tell the history of the people that were there, it's more now over to like these huge postmodernist architectures, these soulless, brutalist structures of steel and concrete. That just like, look at Washington if you want to see what I'm talking about for postmodernist architecture.
Are you talking about Washington State or DC?
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, no, if you've been there, I don't know if you've ever drove through there, but I've had to drive through there many times, and I know people that work Washington, D.C., if you drive through there, the traffic is bad, and the traffic gets so bad to where you can just look at people's eyes and they just look soulless. They're just driving. They just look in pain, like literal suffering.
Just fucking on the radio.
That's why I hate Washington D.C., man.
Fucking plays as they're like, I'm driving my car to the goddamn intersection. I'm gonna fucking do it.
I will consider what I've learned from this.
And they
But I
just
mean-
pull forward. There's probably so many people. I mean, even Trump is now starting to say that people are going to start killing themselves in mass because this isolation is going on too long. Like, there's already reports of people in LA killing themselves and their family.
Well, that's because on the West Coast
quarantines.
it's depressing. It's so moody there because of all the rain. Well, I don't know about LA. I don't know if it rains much there, but
Nah, I doubt
like-
it rains much there. That's why those people are so naively optimistic about everything in their politics, is that they don't have to experience weather. They don't have to experience reality or the seasons. If you don't actually have to experience winter, it makes you really soft.
I actually prefer winter. Like
I mean, that's probably why-
I hate summer and
Then
I
look at
love
them.
winter.
I've been working all winter outside in the rain and the snow for 9 hours a day, so I'm ready for the summer. I used to be the other way around, but when you actually have to work outside in the winter, it makes you feel different.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. But I don't know. I guess it might just depend, because whenever I'm working out in the summer,
Plus, I've been in
I
this
get
town
depressed.
for 25 years. All this place is
nothing
winter.
to you.
just snow year round, and then when the summer comes, it's like, wow, it's actually bright again. Of course, women don't stop wearing yoga pants in the winter. Women don't stop dressing the way that empowered women dress ever now. And you know, I hate myself for like, I would be lying if I said that it wasn't hot, but I'm not like the rest of these idiots. And it's like, I don't expect to find a wife. I don't expect to have anything anymore because women are showing all that to guys. Women are nothing but legalized prostitution at this point. And what guys out there think they're still going to find something and build a family in this world? You think you're going to have any authority? You think you're going to be the man? You think you're going to wear the pants? I mean, she might wear the strap on, but that's... They have no clue. The only people that are going to wear the pants are the immigrants. That's who the future belongs to.
People that don't even know how to fucking read. But then again, I don't know, because they're like...
Whether it be legal
schooling is
immigrants or
getting
illegal
harder,
immigrants,
man.
it's
Like,
all...
Like, what people have been telling me...
school's being dumbed down because
I wouldn't
there are
say
so
that,
many...
because people that have tried to do, like, try to help me out with my work, that used to do school, back, like, in their day, were...
Have you ever entertained that maybe people are just getting so dumb that even something as menial and as puerile as modern day government mandated education seems difficult?
But I don't know if I could agree with that, though, because wouldn't that mean that...
I mean, I haven't been back to school in a long time, man. I didn't even graduate, but what I hear
See-
now, you don't even fucking need to anymore. But they don't do anything in school like what they used to do with me. They don't teach kids how to balance checkbooks. They don't teach you about clocks. They don't teach you about fucking basic math rather than like all the trigonometry, geometry, calculus, all that shit that's like, when did I ever use calculus? When the fuck did I ever use trigonometry? That's always the
Trigonometry
cliche with that
is
shit in
what?
school. I don't know. I fucking don't know anymore.
Well, here's the thing, though. I really have no point to really say on this, anyways. But from what I've
Then what are you
seen
talking
in the
about?
math that I did, people were not doing that type of math or that way of math, or whatever it was.
Well, they fucking ruined math
And
when I
they're
was a
saying
kid.
it's
I mean, I
harder.
remember they made that joke in Incredibles 2. I love that joke when he's like, "God, they changed math? You don't change math. It works." Fucking, my parents lost their shit when they changed math, man. When we went over from the old curriculum of Sylvan, I fucking forget so many names, so many books.
Imperial.
And then now it is this new math system of like, it's been so long since I was a kid and we did that, but it basically changed it from just the basic adding, subtracting, the arithmetic of multiplication and division and algebra at least, and then it was like, no, you need all this fucking new postmodernist fucking, again, it was postmodernism coming in, trying to fuck with math. Like, no, that is not how it works, because we can change it, because there's no objective truth to the world.
Well, I don't know enough about this shit, but most people that I've talked to,
believe me, man, even like growing up my whole life, I heard words
math.
like postmodernism.
Most people that
like,
I know cannot do middle school grade math.
Yeah, we are getting dumber. It is, if you've never seen the movie Idiocracy,
but yeah,
definitely
why
recommend
can
it.
all the kids do it? Yeah. See, I don't know. It's very much like I couldn't do it, cause I'm dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I understand basic math. I understand some things. I understand numbers, but I don't understand geometry. I don't understand a lot of other things, man. It's like I just.
All you need is basic math. That's math. But I fucking hate math. I wish, if I could make any wish, that I was as good at math as I am with words and language arts and writing and shit like that. Because when I was like, I struggled with language arts and reading and all that and writing until I was about in 4th or 5th grade, and then something just clicked overnight, and I started reading at a college level when I was like 9 or 10. Then that was the same thing ever since. But with math, it's never been like that. And if you're not good at math, that's an entire section of the universe that's closed off to you.
Yeah,
it's like when you look in Skyrim and you look at all those celestial level ups that you never ever bothered to fill out. You know, you're like, look at all these fucking star charts I never experimented with. Because man, that guy used polyfalcygorical derivation.
I also feel like they're purposely making math harder to teach. I feel like they're purposely making it harder to learn for people.
No, they're not, because of the number of immigrants and minorities. And look, the more and more that the demographics change in this country, the more and more the anti-white narrative is a thing. The more the white people are told stop having kids, the more white people are just made to feel guilty and like, you're a piece of shit, you should kill yourself, you should fucking, how dare you ever exist? If you don't have black babies, how fucking dare you? If you don't have Pakistani Muslim babies, like, the more that that all fails and the demographics change, and the more that there are non-whites filling up the schools, and this is just, you can look this up statistically, factually, like, I don't care, man. Facts don't care about your feelings, to quote that Jew, Ben Shapiro. It's all going to change, and they are changing the curriculum to be that we are going to change the standards, because if we don't pass these motherfuckers, we don't get as much funding for the education system, because for each one of you little bastards that's in the school, they get money for it. They get a check for each of you.
The thing is, though, is like, I just don't know. Because I feel like,
yeah, you don't know, so you should look into it.
Yeah, but when I look...
But I know more than you, and I know enough to know that they are changing the curriculum to make it to where black kids can just pass, Hispanics can just pass, Muslims can just pass, because people that are coming in, that they want it to be all about, that they want the country to be about, want it to be to where they don't lose the curriculum funding if they don't have a quota of students passing.
Well,
again,
here's the thing,
if you really care about it, look into somebody that knows more about it than I do.
From numbers and what I'm seeing, from numbers and what I've seen and hearing is what I'm going off of. Because everybody I know in this day cannot do basic math, cannot do the basic math they teach now. They say, but everyone's told me that I've done math and like back when they were a kid, they were all saying that it's fucking 10 times harder.
Yeah, because they changed it. I don't know why exactly, but it happened when I was like 12, I think, 10 or 12. My parents fucking threw a goddamn fit. They were down at the schools. I remember all the parents were down at the schools. Like, what is this shit? Fucking throwing the books in their faces. It's like, because I mean, we had to get rid of the books. We had to get the new textbooks. Like, it was, again, it was probably a bunch of Frankfurt School, like, fucking Marxist. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Marxist math. I mean, I bet. Well, I mean, they're trying to say that math is. Well, there are things that some people now are saying that science is inherently racist, that science is white supremacist.
Well, that's...
But a lot of things are white supremacy, and it's like, look, man, again, if we're the source of your problems, then, like, you're gonna die out, because I'm never gonna meet you, I'm never gonna physically hold you down and stop you from going at it and doing what you do in your life. So, if you can't even get off the couch, then that's on you, pal. And believe me, I couldn't get off the couch for damn near 10 years. And it's really hard to make out with chicks on couches. Like, the cushions keep falling off. And it's not fun.
Well, no, I'm just saying this just because I don't know. Because I guess if they changed it, then that makes a lot of sense. But, because even I can barely, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And again, nobody should take our word on this. Clearly don't know what the fuck we're talking about. But it wouldn't surprise me if this is all where it's going, because they cater to what America is going to be one day. And the more and more that America becomes less of the demographics of the people that founded and made and built this country from the ground up, and people can say whatever they want about, like,
Man, fucking slavery built that country, man. Cotton money built America.
no, it was the Irish. Do us yourself a favor and learn your history.
Wait, what about this? Sorry, say that one more time.
Most people think that cotton money built America. Most people think that slavery is what
Wasn't
built
it,
America. All the wealth in the Civil War and in the South that belonged to and was made from cotton, it was all reduced back to zero. There was anything gained or benefited from that war that is felt in America today. If we're talking about the immigrants that came over in the Great Migration and all that, and the ones that fled the potato famine, and the Irish and all that, they are the ones that built the architecture of America. They built the roads, they built the goddamn skyscrapers, they built they were the police force in the beginning. Like, the Irish built this fucking country.
Fix this.
Look it up. But most people just want to think that cotton money built America, and that's just not the case. That's not how history played out. But to everyone that has a Marxist view of the world, that none of you can understand that if you're having a hard time with things and it's other people's fault, then you're gonna continuously have a hard time, because most of those people don't even know or care you exist. So how does it behoove them if you suck? I mean, honestly, this is just, it's pathetic at this point. It's like, what do people think is gonna happen with this point of view, their way of looking at the world? Like, man, somebody's oppressing me, man. I'm a victim. No, you're not. You just suck. You're lame. You're lazy. You're a nihilist. You're a fucking entitled little
Sometimes I wish it was kind of like a game, and it was like there was gonna be that shining knight in armor, like fucking Link, gonna take down Ganon.
Yeah, you would just see him from time to time running through town. He goes, get the shield! Get it, Link! Fuck yeah! I gotta go to work. Fuck, I gotta go to work. And then he's like, you just fucking see him, like, he pumps you up, and then you're just like, hey, now I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Another news, Link slayed the shit out of Ganon. Like, he's on the news, like, Link is like everybody's just watching him on their phones, like, as he's like adventuring in the woods somewhere. I don't even know where he is or what he's doing. You guys watching Link? Get back to work!
That Link, he's fake or some shit. Oh no.
Yeah, there's people that are like on the line, and people are like, dude, Link is a conspiracy, man. It's a whole LARP. It's a limited hangout psyop. Anybody that tells you that Link is real is in on it. Goes all the way to the top. It's Big Link. It's Big Pharma. It's Big Brother. Big Link. That's what we'll call this episode.
Big Link. Alright, I got you. taking out. I guess Gandalf in this case nowadays would be China, because if you think about it, with all the shit that China is getting accused of, which is probably true, to be honest, because China has tried biological warfare before.
In other news, Gandalf has been reported as locking its citizens inside the apartment complexes, by and welding up the doors. We are hearing mixed reports of bodies in the streets. Ganon has refused to comment with the Prime Minister of Hyrule.
Oh man, that would be crazy. Politics.
Tensions are rising in Hyrule tonight as a peace treaty is starting to dissolve between the Ganonites and the Hyruleans.
And Zelda is now sucking Ganon's dick. What is going on? We are first reporters at the scene.
Are accusing us of that our soldiers gave them the virus. That's unsubstantiated claims, not true.
King Truth has this to say.
I just want to say about Ganons, they're tremendous people. I don't think they're very nice.
Ganon has now declared war on Hyrule, and then fucking Zelda is like trying to be on the internet as like one of these trad thoughts or these fucking conservatives as like a Lauren Southern or these Faith Goldies. She's just like, women need to come together for your Hyrule, man. Put men first. And like she's like against the equivalent of what feminism would be in Hyrule. Because man, even Hyrule would eventually get destroyed by feminism and the egalitarian like way of thinking that we're all the same, we all have a Triforce inside of us. Men don't just have the Triforce.
We all have. Link doesn't have the Triforce or whatever.
So suck my toxic Triforce, bitch.
Toxic Triforce. His fucking band name right there.
We all have the legendary power inside of us. We all have royalty power inside of us.
Yeah, because everyone's
special. We are all royalty.
Everyone got into a riot outside of the Lost Woods for the Sword of Time. They would all be trying to go there and pull it out.
Like, why? Thought we all had fucking Triforce.
People would just get lost in the Lost Woods and eventually become inhabitants of it. Like and they would gentrify the Lost Woods and just move into it like they did California.
Which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Then
I mean, people couldn't get into your neighborhood easily because they'd be like out of there if they didn't know where they were going.
I mean, a good example is kind of like Warframe and how the propaganda is with like imagine this shit going on in Warframe, and the Tenno is coming to oppress us. They probably try to make
and then the people I guarantee you there'd be people on Earth like the Ostron talking about,
and the Tenno are safe in their hermetically sealed ships that circle our planet in their war suits. Do you think they fear the toxin? No, brothers and sisters, no.
And then we just come in.
Like in like China, like
a call to arms, outlaw Warframes.
Again, they're like, in other news, this is bigotry against Warframes. We want to be safe. We don't want to alarm people, Chuck. So if you see a Warframe, you know, hug them, you know, lick them. It's not, we don't want to think that this is against Warframes. It's just the toxin is coming from the origin system. Look,
what am I supposed to say? I'm on the fucking air.
You know how there was always that joke that's like people in the air hate each other? They're like, fuck you, Tom.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I just found that shit funny. It's like, imagine that.
He's like backstage. Oh, I can't say corpus. I can't mention the corpus on it. Okay. Folks, I've just been informed that the Grenier are now firing. It's like the fucking Grenier.
The Grenier are getting slaughtered by the Warframe.
In this time of toxin, we want to urge the people to, you know, shelter in your We are sheltering orbiters, and we're going to get through this, folks. We are not trying to stir up any anti-Tenno bigotry, and we also want to remind people that the virus did not come from the corpus. It is unsubstantiated claims, and the Grenier are now in talks with the Prime Minister.
And we're gonna pass it off to Cindy at the front lines.
People down on the ground are like, man, it's fucking bioterrorism, nigga. The fucking corpus, man. They caught this fool at customs, right? You don't take his fucking bucket helmet off and shit. Dude's got toxin in his helmet. Fuck. And like people are at the bars and like it's a whole conspiracy, man. Look, it's the Grenier and the corpus, man. They own this world, man. They want us to think that they're enemies, right, man? But like they're really like buddies, man. And the war and the origin system is just a big racket, man.
When the whole time it's like the fucking Orkin owning both of them.
How much fucking money you think a Warframe costs to make?
When it's like and then it's like the Orkin come in.
Man, we got Warframes. We got guns, and then we got rival factions guns. Who do you think's designing the orbiters? Have you seen Prime equipment? You think that that's form over function? You don't think that that's mutually exclusive?
It's like this dude talking to some guy in a bar, talking about like it's a whole conspiracy, man. The Tenno ain't here to help us, man. Fuck.
The Tennos in this universe are kind of like Witchers, to be honest. They're like
they're just mercenaries. They're just doing what they do. They're just here. Tenno are coming in. The equivalent of the Tennos in our universe would just be like Blackwater or any militia that comes in to be like, yeah, we can we're guns for hire. We're sell swords. We can go. We got this. Grenier? Oh, over there? Yeah, whatever. It's like you when you're the Tenno, when you first were in Warframe, you're like, I'm gonna bust into this vent, and you're in like some place, bunch of soldiers, fucking kill this dude, get this datum, get the fuck out of here. Like, didn't even care what was going on. It was like you slowly got sucked into this war.
Big buddy.
As everyone on the ground is just like, day 767 of the toxin outbreak, we would like to remind everyone to stay home and stay safe.
We'd like you to stay inside and, yeah, don't worry about what's going on outside.
In this time of quarantine and fear and pandemonium, we would like to remind people that this is going to end soon. God will see us through this, or the equivalent of God in the origin system. Will that be probably like the Lotus, or like the Lotus will see us through this.
Kanzu would probably be.
Yeah.
Kanzu is working on with the Lotus right now, and we'll get your viruses extracted. We're gonna need more tests.
Reports, Tom, of anti-corpus sentiments starting to grow in this time of quarantine. They are believing that with the audiences at home and not on the slave colony of Fortuna, they're having more time to tune in to the orbiter frequencies with the anti-corpus spectators and commentators. Do you have anything to say on that?
Look, man, any claims that I or my client are anti-corpus are entirely untrue. And that's libelous, okay?
That'd be like Fox News. Whenever I watch Fox News, or I've been seeing it for the last few days, I keep seeing this one motherfucker's face. And he always has this like rainbow cup right next to him with a unicorn head. And he just like always has his legs up on the table, and it's like, really? I don't know, and he's like, yeah.
Is it any more crazy that if they did anything of that whole thing we just did with like the origin system in this world, it's like that's basically what they do with us in a lot of ways. It's like it's just a big get to this, like a big where they're like, man, how crazy can we make it? Like in 2024, I wouldn't be surprised if, because Kanye West said he's going to run for president eventually. That would be interesting. Why not?
Yeah. We're not very interested, you know, but fuck it. We will see. I don't know, I'm more curious though, if there is gonna be that World War III with China though, that sounds fucked. Fucking yeah. Chinese
telling you,
And
man, the Corpus is
another
smuggling
dude.
bioweapons in here. It's gonna be a fucking all-out faction war between the Corpus, the Grineer, and the Tenno. So we're caught in the middle. You think that the Earthlings, you think that Terrans are gonna get attacks off this? No, we're gonna work through the war. And it's gonna fuck you. It's gonna fuck your family.
Yeah, it's like, and you get drafted. I don't know. But I don't know. I think China should be reprimanded, or there should be repercussions to China. But I'm not gonna be there. I am happy that I'm just some jerk off for other people.
Yeah, because if you're not, they'll kill you.
Yeah, no, I'd rather be that than fucking.
People in China can get taken in by the cops for questioning and then probably have their organs harvested because no one ever saw them again after that interview. And the people that get these things leaked.
Well, wasn't there like stories of Chinese? But wasn't there someone in China that got ran over by a tank on the media?
No, he didn't get
like they were
run over.
doing some.
I think they were. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that's a very infamous. If you even mention Tiananmen Square in China, you'll be disappeared in the.
Well, I don't know if it was China or Russia, but it was one of the.
Because Tiananmen Square was a very famous event, but again, what do I fucking know?
Yeah, because I remember I saw something, because someone told me about this, and it was like this guy basically got ran over, like they were doing a meeting, and this guy stood in the way, and they were like, get out the way. And I go, okay, let's just run him over.
Yeah, Tiananmen Square. It's that famous picture of that guy standing in front of the tanks.
Yeah, I heard that there was some like big cover up with that or some shit, like they tried to cover it up, like that never happened.
Yeah, in China,
like
as
he
far
didn't
as
get run
their
over.
communist regime of like altering the past and facts of what we say they are, if you're not even allowed to mention or talk about Tiananmen Square, you'll be disappeared.
You see, if most of the history comes from not our continent and comes from the other continent, and they're all trying to alter the past to keep people from doing a revolt against their own country, then that just proves a lot about how fucked our history is. Especially when most of our history that we hear is all about modern day wars.
War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
That's why I don't. That's why
1984.
when it comes to wars, I just don't care, because it's like that is not history to me. Like as far as from a historical standpoint, I don't.
Man, all history is war.
Because all war is, at the end of the day, is fighting to keep someone's fucking money. Fighting to keep from someone losing money.
War is a racket. Smedley Butler is one of the most decorated generals, or like whatever the highest rank you can attain in the military. He was it, and he wrote that book. You can get that one. That is a great book. But yeah,
What
it's like
book?
that's the guy who was in War is a Racket by Smedley Butler.
War is a Racket by Stanley Butter. War is a
Smedley.
Racket was a speech and a 1935 short book by Smedley D. Butler, a retired U.S. Marine Corps Major General, a two-time Medal of Honor Based on his career military experience, Butler discusses how business interests commercially benefits, such as war profiteering from warfare. Interesting. So basically, he just talks about how corporations profit from war.
Everybody, gun runners, bullet makers, freaking militias.
Interesting.
Especially if you're the gun runner selling guns to both sides, as they often do.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just so. To the people that know at this point, it's like, what is the point to even try to be like, yeah, can you believe they do all this? It's like, into the people that are just, I mean, even unless you're young, I can understand that, because like I got into this shit when I was like 13 or 14 or whatever, but like the people that's like, if you're my age, you're just like now like, they do that? It's like, yeah. This world is run by a fucking crime syndicate, to put it as simply as possible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it's interesting though. I don't know, it's like...
A global crime syndicate.
So what's your standpoint on guns, would you say? Like, what is your standpoint of weapons and firearms?
You need them, and the moment that you let them infringe that, you pretty much can already kiss your rights goodbye. Which we're going to. No one's gonna...
Do you think that America is gonna turn into like a tribal type thing where we're gonna have basically people defending tribes? Like almost like how it is in Iraq?
If everybody keeps getting more and more isolated and afraid and shutting down their borders, then yeah, we'll all just become a bunch of little neighboring fiefdoms with bones to pick.
Right now I'm building my railjack. I'm in the process of doing that.
I've just been going around on Grand Theft Auto 5, playing it without music, realizing how beautifully and lovingly crafted the ambient sound design is in that game. It's absolutely jaw-dropping to notice the little details that I didn't notice before because I had never, like, driven in my own sense in real life or, like, done stuff without the fucking music always blaring all the time in that game. I was pretty much just tired of the music because I've heard it since 2013 at this point.
Yeah.
So I just turned it all off and I've just been playing it with nothing but the sounds. It really does add a sense of, like, man, like, while you're just driving through Los Santos at 235 miles per hour, like, fucking, I'm strictly about my bitch, I don't need no hold up. Or, like, some fucking, like, lonely as my heart. Or some fucking whatever radio station you want to listen to. You're missing out on something that someone had to be the Foley artist and the sound designer and the person that did the levels and the audio and the treble and all the little effects that go into the wonder and the mystery of sound design. Because a lot of people don't realize that what makes a lot of games great is the sound design. If you have shit sound design, you really don't feel like you're there, or you have the synesthesia when you combine that with the tactile feedback of the controls and the...
A lot of people ignore that stuff.
Yeah, man, people don't give a fuck. Most people are in a party when they're playing a game. That's what still blows my mind, to think that the majority of people can't ignore that stuff, but there was somebody there in 2011 probably when they were coding the game and developing it. It was like in an office that was like, how should this car sound when it passes in the night by this other car, like the wind whooshing between the two doors as it escapes the crevice in between as the highway stretches out, and you could hear, like, they're thinking about all this in a soundscape. They're thinking about all this in a sense of,
yeah, it's almost like, sad to the creators.
How does this motor sound in the night on a desert road? How does this motor sound on a parking lot in the middle of Los Santos? How does this motor sound on in a field out where immigrant workers are? Or, like, how does this car sound when it gets smashed around a bit? Or, like, whenever you play the game in first person and you just drive around and you actually obey traffic laws and shit and actually take your time getting places, you really get a sense of scale. And you actually get a sense of, like, you hear the car, like, creak, and you hear the signals turn on and blink, and all the little realistic shit that goes on with driving. You're like, man, it's insane to think that you can just do whatever you want, and most people are just like, get out of my way, civilians, and they use that as the fucking road. But all these details are just there waiting for you if you want to bother to play the game differently. It's part of the beauty and the majesty of the art form. Because
I was playing Witcher today, and I was doing a share play because my friend wanted to watch, so I just said sure, but just be quiet and stuff. And he's like, I was like, what do you think of it so far after a few story things happened? And he's like, boring. And I was like, why? And he said, because there's no action. And I don't know. I don't know, like, if that's what a game is supposed to be. I feel like a game is supposed to be immersion. It's supposed to be like a movie.
I mean, it's not supposed to be like a movie because games are they're antithetical to what a movie is. Movies and books are linear and they are passive, whereas games are non-linear and they're very, like, organically, like, they provide emergent gameplay that you as the player can create and some other player probably didn't think of. Like, a perfect example is that when I'm not driving around Michael's car, I don't hijack people's cars, I'm just trying to immerse myself. So I call for a taxi. I'm going back to the city. And I see this chick that I've picked up before over the countless, 7 years that I've actually played this game, But this time, organically, it's almost like when you play a Grand Theft Auto game, how, non-linear that they are. It's almost like you can live multiple lives across the same lifetime, and you see just how the organics of fate and mechanics can just change a situation. Like, before, I've met this chick on a road at night listening to, rock music as Michael's driving around feeling like a midlife crisis after he just fucked some hooker. But this time around, I just got back from walking 5 miles through the desert going on a pilgrimage for the Epsilon Foundation, because you have to walk 5 miles wearing the robes before Chris Formage will talk to you and let you into the mansion. And so, and he's basically the equivalent of Tom Cruise. You want to talk to him? And so, I just gotten back from walking 5 miles in the desert, and it was going on 2 or 3 in the morning, and so I called a cab for Michael. He's driving back to the city, and this chick that I've picked up before, she runs at the car, and she's like, hey, can you help me, please? And, I was just thinking that the guy's going to keep driving, but then he stops because we get stopped by a car on the highway, and so she just walks up, and she's like, oh, I'm just going to get in, and the bitch just hops in the cab, and so it's this weird, awkward situation of, she's sitting in a cab with her and Michael, so it's they're having a one-to-one, a face-to-face conversation, rather than him driving the car this time, and then the cab driver is just driving back to Los Santos because we're coming from Bling County.
Yeah.
Just talking about, how, I've been out in the desert tripping on drugs, and my boyfriend doesn't like me seeing this guy, and, she's gonna go meet him at this. And I've already done it before, I knew where it was gonna go. She takes you up to the watchtower by the Vinewood sign, and then you almost get your ass kicked by her mate-guarding boyfriend,
Yeah.
But this time around, I changed the destination or something, and then she, for some reason, got out of the car while we were stopped, and I just told the guy, all right, buddy, move it. I hit the square where he hurried up, and then the fucking taxi driver just floored it and fucking crashed into a car in front of him and left her in the dirt, and then looking back, watching her, run after the car, it gave it, an organic moment of, bitch, you think you can fucking get in my cab? I'm trying... Michael in this life is now he's I'm trying to join the Epsilon Foundation. Who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of here. I'm going home. I've been walking in the desert for 3 goddamn days. I've been wearing these clothes for 3 fucking days. Get the hell out of my cab. Or then I had another one where this chick that I picked up, I was driving around looking for this guy that I was going to meet. And this all happened during my quest with the Epsilon Foundation. And I was driving out to Blaine County to go meet them because we were searching for alien artifacts or whatever. And you get to use this thing that's basically a reference to the PKE meter from Ghostbusters. That was really cool. I always liked that part of it. But as you're using it, you can go around the city, and you're moving around in that area looking for alien artifacts. And you come back from that area, and I met this other chick alongside Blaine County, and you know where those immigrant fields are, and you know where there's a house, or you can see a church. It's up on the hill.
Yeah,
and I was just thinking in my head, I was as I stopped and I was looking in the road because I'm obeying the traffic laws and shit, I stopped and I was at the stop sign. I was looking both ways, and I looked up at the hill and I was looking at that church, and I just saw how the sunlight was reflecting off the windows, and it was a very picturesque, a church on a hill, and it was almost a slice of Americana. And then all of a sudden and I'd never seen this part of the game before. I'd never found this shit, so it was very novel. It was interesting to find something that I had never found because I thought I found almost everything in Grand Theft Auto. She comes running down the hill from the church, and she's like, oh my god, get me out of here, please. I can't do this. I can't go through it. And so, she's a runaway bride, and she gets in the car, and so Michael is, taking her back, and all of a sudden as he's talking to her, so what's going on? You couldn't go through it. And she's like, I just couldn't marry that psychopath. This fucking dude in a Hummer starts like smashing into the back of your car, and so I turn off the road into the trees and into the forest in Blaine County, to where it's like you're getting chased by a psychopath through the forest now, and Michael's life is in danger because this bitch stopped him. And so I called the fucking cops while I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road, because I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna pull out a gun because there's no reason necessarily to kill this guy. So I was like, it's interesting to see how these organic moments, like, this is emerging gameplay coming from you as the player, like, can I do this? And I'm like, I fucking can. So I called the fucking cops as I'm trying to drive through the goddamn forest, and he's trying to T-bone me off the road, and she's like, you fucking asshole! Like, screaming at him, and then the fucking cops are like, chasing us, trying to stop him, like, pull over! Fucking eventually, we end up in Vinewood Hills in the neighborhood, and I stop the car, and he gets out, and he's like, what the fuck you up, bro? And like, this guy was like a jock. He nearly killed Michael. He got like 4 or 5 hits in before I could get him. And then fucking I like went into slow motion and I started punching him and shit. And then right before I like knocked him out, I was just like, get low! And I was like, fuck off! And then I fucking like knocked him out cold in his head because it was in first person. He went down and he fucking smashed his nose on the back bumper and like blood splattered all over the car. And it was just like a moment where like he goes silent, the cops drive off, the sirens fade away, and you're just sitting here with this dude's blood all over your bumper, just like as you just knock this fuckboy out, and you're just like, man, that was such a dynamic moment of like how intense shit just got there, and all I was trying to do was go out and find the Epsilon guys. And then so you back up and leave him there on the sidewalk, and then it starts raining, and then as I'm miles away in some different part of Vinewood dropping her off at her house, you can imagine him, the way my brain again thinks about games when I'm really immersed. I'm like, man, that asshole's probably waking up right now with the fucking rain just pouring on his suit, like, what the fuck happened? Some dude's like, oh, bro, you alright, man? Oh, dude, you got knocked
the fuck out. You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, it's like, I love these games. They are truly a work of art. Like, they do not make games like that anymore. Because again, like you said, when players show them that, like, I don't give a fuck, then they're gonna market it to people that want to, what the games as a service experience is now, what the experience
well,
is of, like,
because
get
not
on,
a lot of
get
people do that dynamic
stuff.
stuff. A lot of people don't
yeah, man,
even
people
know
don't
stuff
think
like
about
that
games
in
the
like, I didn't even
psychotic
know.
level. I get so immersed in the game, dude, that I actually start, like, thinking the thoughts that I think Michael would be thinking, or that Trevor or Franklin would be thinking. Like, I'm fucking crazy. Because it's like the cognitive dissonance that you as the player have, and you as the player that, as the character that you're playing as has, you know? Like, try that. Next time you're really trying to get immersed in The Witcher.
No, that's what I did in The Witcher.
As Geralt.
That's what I did in The Witcher, but at the same time, I have a hard time doing that because if you think as Geralt, you're not gonna do anything. Like,
yeah.
Like with all the cool shit you could do in Witcher, if you think like Geralt.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It gets to that's kind of a curse where I'm like, I sometimes wish I didn't think about games this deeply, trust you me, because like, I really do. I can immerse myself on a level where I don't think most people can, like the shit I was just talking about with all the whole Grand Theft Auto shit that I went through.
That's why I said Witcher is one of my favorite games, is because they made it easy to do that.
It's like I said, how I'm like, why would I go run off to the sides of the continent? Like, why would I get out of Novigrad right now and run over, you know what I mean? Like, you're immersed in the story of Novigrad and what's going on politically and all the shit that you fall into for months there. That's the one thing I love about The Witcher. It was one of the first ever games that showed me, like, you've been gone for months. Like, time went by, and this was way longer than you thought it would be.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, like, I don't know, it's so weird, because if you think about it, it's meant to be, like, that whole thing of...
It's like you're not just playing an RPG like Skyrim, where you're like,
you could do it where you could take it really long, but then it just doesn't...
What you do is epic.
Disimmersive me, because...
Yeah, but it's inconsequential after a while, because there's no sense of, like, Geralt's life has, like, chapters in it where it's like, this is early in Geralt's life, this is the middle of Geralt's life, this is towards the end of the adventures.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know, man.
Gives it
That's
gravity,
why I
gives
feel
it a
like the
sense
game
of
is meant to be played through multiple playthroughs, though.
Place, it gives it a sense of finality. But they don't want to, again, give people this because you don't want a game as a service to have a sense of finality. That's the last fucking thing you want economically for that game as a business model.
Oh yeah, we're gonna give people an epic moment where they fight the sentience in a huge, dynamic, open world war, and you end Warframe in like 2023. And when it ends, it fucking ends. No, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like, I'm selling these motherfuckers vanity items until 2030 if I can help it. Get out of here. You know how much people will pay for a Sandana? Money. Platinum. It's like the corpus are like, look man, Platinum runs the origin system. We have it all.
Yeah.
It's usury. The Platinum hasn't been backed up by anything since 2080.
The Platinum's gonna crash.
Yeah.
In the news, the hyperinflation of Platinum is due early as the bailout of the dropship industry and
well,
the
this game
orbiter.
does have inflation, which I find interesting. That's one thing. Like, this game. That was one thing that I think I loved about this game, was that they had a player-based market where they could, where players are like, okay, this is, you can't get this anymore, worth. So they put that extra price tag on it.
I mean, in the sense of inflation in the main game, like in like the market and the shit I can go buy right now, it doesn't really, because the price of goods has not gone up as far as the shit that I've seen here forever. Like a bundle is still as much as a bundle always was 5 years ago, but the Platinum is still the exact same price, because inflation is where our goods are going up in cost, but your currency is still worth the same or less.
Well, yeah, but for like player base.
But in the market, yeah, that's definitely true. Because you're like, what, dude, I had a whole fucking chroma set. Why don't any of you want to suck my dick?
People are like,
yeah, you have a whole chroma set now, and it's like worth 150, and then later it's gonna be like 60. And it's gonna be like, fuck, should have got here at the right time.
Yeah.
I think it's all about timing when it comes to selling things, though. I don't know. I don't know shit about selling things. Like, I barely, like I could never, like, I was one of those kids that no one would hire me. Like, I would try and get a job working for someone just to get some money for, like, a video game or something, and they would always say no.
I mowed a lot of lawns, picked up a lot of cigarette butts, did a lot of odd jobs for video game money when I was younger, sold a lot of games to GameStop when that was.
Wait, how'd you make money picking up cigarette butts?
You just go down to a local hotel, ask them if you can be their groundskeeper, I guess is what I pitched it as, and then I just picked up cigarette butts and trash, and like pretty much I made the place look spotless.
But yeah, if I would have done that, they would have said no.
Yeah.
I don't know. They would have said, what are you doing here?
In the sense of design where the player lives and the immersion of like what the player feels, and yeah, I've always wanted to be like a designer in that sense, but like coding all that would have to be somebody else. But design is actually
like storytelling.
My dad, met the lead game designer, Jacob Minkoff. I still have his business card right here. He met him in 2012 when he went to Peru to become a shaman, and he sent me like a whole bundle of Uncharted and fucking he sent me the Jack and Daxter collection before that shit was even out on the world.
Oh wow.
But yeah, he was the designer of,
well, that's kind of interesting that he would
guy,
be going on a shaman adventure.
It made sense because Uncharted 2 was where Uncharted very much got into like the existential and the psychedelic.
Oh really?
I mean, that's why I think Uncharted 4
So you got to play unreleased games?
As far as Jack and Daxter, yeah, I know when I got that bundle with, he sent me his business card, and then he sent me the whole Resistance bundle, the whole Uncharted bundle, and then he sent me Jack and Daxter and something else. But yeah, Jack and Daxter was not a thing at the time as far as the collection that was entirely remastered on the PS3. But yeah, he was the game designer of Uncharted 2, and as far as design perspective, that's like the Indiana Jones game that they never fucking made. That game is...
You mean like mechanically or story?
No, like design is how you as the player feel, like what you're being taken through, the choreography of like, this should play out like this, or we should make this happen here, or the player should have a moment where
I wanna design like a game story and like it just like and design too.
Well,
Like
nowadays the best games that I've found this generation, there is no, when you do what a
Story.
game does best, there is no separation between the exposition of a story and the gameplay. The gameplay is the story, because that's what a game does best. Inside, the gameplay is the story. Hyperlight Drifter, the gameplay is the story. God of War, the gameplay is the story. That's what pissed me off so much about Death Stranding, is it's a bunch of it's a bunch of just like smug, absolutely the pomposity of that game is so insulting, and it wastes its very skeletal system of great
So
mechanics, and it runs like
so
that
would you
game,
say with Witcher
it's
the
beautiful
gameplay is the
mechanically.
story?
But it just smacks you over the head with exposition. Witcher, I would say, is just more of that I like it. It's not really so much of a game that I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play The Witcher. It's like, I'm going to immerse myself in The Witcher. Like, I love talking to people in The Witcher. I love getting lost in their villages and walking through the world and, like,
Yeah,
going to
that's the
find
thing.
stuff.
Like, if I want to make a game, I want to make a
Combat is
game
where
that
it
you get
slips up, and I'm
lost
like,
in.
it's not as immersive when it comes to the combat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a full-blown, like, as a
Matt-
game where I'm like, this is a game I love, and I love to play.
Because the
and I
combat
don't have
is.
much to say about it.
Because the combat, yeah, I could agree with the combat. The combat isn't that good, but as
But
far
it does
as
make it hard to immerse yourself in other games when you go back to where you're like, this story is so fucking, like, this is written for fucking retards, man.
this is bland, and a
You know
lot
what I
of
mean, Ben?
times
It really
it's like,
points out to you when you're like, God, games are written for little kids. Like, The Witcher is an adult, is very mature, it's very political. It doesn't treat you like a dumbass.
yeah, like I was talking to someone and he said that The Witcher's story was not better than any Call of Duty story. I was just like,
It
did
looks
you
very
play
interesting.
it then?
As far as a From Software game, I know that I was not going to buy it and still have not bought it because it's a From Software game that usually amounts to like, man, this is amazing. I'll probably beat this. I know you can beat it without you can sneak past bosses, I think is what I heard in this one and stuff like that, but I just have too many games to try to get into. Like, getting into a From Software relationship is like agreeing to date a woman you know is going to suck all your friends' dicks and rip your heart out, and you're still going to be banging down her door at 3 in the morning. Like, I love you, bitch! Please!
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people that have gone through stuff like that, and they've like had basically like girls suck every one of their friends' dicks.
Who hasn't in this cucked day and age? Men are expected to accept what a woman will give you as well as every other guy, and that's how you're going to have companionship or a relationship. And it's like, if that's the case, then I will just be a nihilistic doomer. And it's not easy. Fuck, if it gets any more of a fulfilling life, we're like, ooh, Warframe is about to update itself, or I'm about to buy a game, or I just fucking trying to get off fucking pornography because it's destroying my mind. It's like, no, it's not any more fun, but it's less fun than like, well, I can have this girl sit on my face, but after she sucks Chad's dick.
Yeah, it's like fucked, man.
It's like, no, I'm good, man.
It's fucked.
And with that,
That, I think that should be the end of episode 10. Fucking
yeah,
wow,
so we're just gonna
10
go into another
episodes.
tangent about men and women, the polarization between, it's the war of the sexes!
Alright, that was episode 10. Thank you for anyone that was watching. Alright, thank you for anyone that watched. That's episode 10, and anything you want to say? Yeah, I mean, it's just random. What do we call this episode? Big Link? I think. We're just talking. It's a conversation show.